Thanks for joining us on The Bright Side. The premise of The Bright Side, as you know, if you've listened to this program, is that health is simple. I know it can seem overwhelming. I get phone calls and emails. I got a whole slew of them yesterday from people who are just distressed about their health, the health of their families. One in particular has just kind of struck me as being terribly tragic. A lady who's got a daughter who's been diagnosed with Lyme disease. I don't know about this Lyme disease thing. Color me skeptical about Lyme disease. I'm not the only one, by the way, who's skeptical about Lyme disease. A lot of medical and health and scientific professionals are skeptical about the diagnosis of Lyme disease. In any case, the premise of this program, The Bright Side, is health is simple. Sometimes when I'm talking to folks, either on the phone or in person, in my presentations or on the radio, I get the sense that there's this skepticism. That people don't believe that it can be simple to be healthy, or that it can be simple to stay healthy, or that it can be simple to get healthy. That health is as simple as supplementing or breathing or changing the way we eat or not eating at all. This is so tragic to me. As a healthcare professional, somebody who's dedicated his life to helping people, this is so tragic, the idea that we think health is complicated, that we think you need a medical degree to understand how the body works. We talked to a guy yesterday at the end of the program. He had rheumatoid arthritis, and I gave him a few ideas on how to take care of his issue. It was the end of the program, so I didn't get to tell him everything. I asked him to call, and he did, or email me, and he did. He emailed me after the program, and I called him, and we talked after the show. And I've been talking to people about their healthcare issues for many years, and I can kind of tell when people are skeptical. I can kind of tell when people are doubtful. There's a sort of silence at the other end of the line when I make my recommendations. I'll tell people certain things, and then I'll just hear silence. So I'm talking to this guy, nice guy, intelligent guy. I told him a few things, and because he's dealing with an immune issue, of course, I told him about the immune system and the digestive system, which is the immune system. We talked about food, we talked about eating, and we talked about not eating, i.e. fasting. And I could tell that he was skeptical. He was kind of silent on the other end of the line. And I don't know this for a fact, but he could have easily been putting me into the category of Boulder, Colorado, New Age healer health guy, airy-fairy health guy, because I talk about food and I talk about digestion. I don't know. I can't say that for a fact, but I know that there's that attitude out there that perhaps I'm just some kind of New Age healer guy and all I do is talk about food and digestion. I'm a health nut. The funny thing is, when I talked to him about calorie restriction, and we talked about intermittent fasting, taking a food holiday, this gentleman actually said he had fasted. And you know what he told me? He says, I feel better when I fast. He actually says to me, I feel better when I don't eat. He says, I feel better when I fast. In other words, this is a guy who's experienced the anti-rheumatoid arthritis benefits of self-help, non-medical intervention. He's done it himself. He's relieved his rheumatoid arthritis symptoms himself in a non-toxic fashion, without drugs, without doctors. Now, if he went to a doctor and he got the same kind of relief that he achieved on his own by something as simple as fasting, if he went to the doctor and got a pill and achieved that kind of relief, it would be a miracle pill. You better believe he'd be waiting in line at the pharmacy. He'd do whatever it took to get a pill, to get his relief. But somehow, fasting to get relief just doesn't seem high-tech enough. I don't know what it doesn't seem. It just doesn't seem like it could work, I suppose. Why would this gentleman still have symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis if he knows good and well for himself? He proved it himself. He told me that when he fasted, his symptoms go away. The digestive system is, for the most part, 80% or maybe more. Certainly for the most part, the digestive system is synonymous with the immune system. Synonymous. That means the same. And that means if you have any immune disease, and that includes autoimmune disease, and that includes cancer, many times, if not most times, you can experience quick relief by not burdening the body with food, by not activating the digestive system / immune system. Just think about this. You put something in your mouth, it goes down your gullet, it has now entered into your body. You put the hamburger, or the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or the cereal, or the bread, or whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're eating, you put it into your mouth, it goes down into your gullet, it goes into your digestive system, it has now entered into your body. Folks, this is a bad situation no matter what we're eating. It means something has now entered into the body. Simple logic will tell you that this is a situation for the body. It's an important situation for the body. And this is true about any kind of food. From the body's perspective, when something enters into the domestic area, the domestic space of our body, no matter what it is, it's technically called a foreign body reaction. What happens after we put something into the body is basically known as a foreign body reaction, even if it's lettuce. From the body's perspective, even lettuce activates a defensive response. The enemy has entered into domestic territory, and this is true about the most gentle and benign of foods. Even lettuce, which is as benign as it gets, is going to activate an emergency response. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have to eat. I'm not telling you not to eat. I'm just saying that there is an impact to eating. Clearly, animals and human beings have to be nourished. We got to eat. And there's nutrients that we can only get from food. But it's important to understand that this is a major part of what the body has to react to and what the body has to do. And if we're already burdened from something, this is something else that we have to focus on. Hang tight. I'll tell you what I mean when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Break. All right, we are back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Been hearing a lot about Lyme disease here. I don't know about this thing. This is from a paper published in Infection and Disease. Infection and Drug Resistance, from the ISDA, which is the Infectious Disease Society of America. And this is a quote. Chronic infection with the Lyme spirochete is rare or non-existent. This is from the Infectious Disease Society of America, no friend of alternative medicine, and they're telling you right here in this paper published in Infection and Drug Resistance. I'll send you a copy if you believe you have Lyme disease. And according to them, and I tend to believe it myself, although I can't say for sure, according to the Infectious Disease Society of America, it's rare or non-existent. Chronic Lyme disease is rare or non-existent. Infection with the spirochete, so the bug, the bacteria that causes this stuff, is rare or non-existent. I tend to believe this, too. It sounds kind of scammy myself. Health is simple, you guys. It's not complicated. If you have a big morass, if you have this kind of crazy maze of symptomology and you don't know where to begin, here's where you begin. Stop eating. Fast. Hit the reset button. I'm not telling you this as some kind of airy-fairy healthcare professional. I'm telling you this as strictly science. Stuff getting into the body has to be processed like an enemy is like the enemy. It's a foreign body entering into our personal space. Clearly, we have to eat. Nobody's saying not to eat. Nature has provided us with a system, it's called our digestive system, that separates the nutrients from our foods. And praise God, we have a digestive system that can do that. But that doesn't mitigate the fact that it's still a foreign body entering into our personal space, our most personal space, our blood. Foreign bodies are, by definition, things that are not us. So by definition, they're going to be targets of the defense system, the Defense Department. It's like as if a plane flew into the United States from Cuba. The United States would be our body. Cuba would be, the plane would be like the food. And the Defense Department, the Air Force fighter jets that are going to scramble from MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, that's going to be the immune system. That's how you want to think of food. Food is like an enemy plane getting into the territory, the domestic territory of the body, and it can't help but activate a defensive response, no matter what that food is. Certainly, if it's the kind of foods most of us subsist on, but any food can do it. And if you have rheumatoid arthritis, or you have any autoimmune disease, what's happening is the Air Force fighter jets are shooting their missiles at the food and anything that looks like the food. And guess what? Your joints look like food. To the immune system anyway, the joints look like food. Our organs and our joints and all of the targets of an autoimmune response, all these targets look like food from a molecular standpoint. They're made up of the same things as food. They're made up of proteins, they're made up of fats, they're made up of sugars. A joint is food to the immune system. A joint is the same as food. So it makes sense that if you're chronically being attacked by the body, that there would be a cross-reactivity with the joints. So what do? You stop putting the stuff into the body that's activating the immune system. If there's no enemy planes, there's not going to be any missiles. And if there's no missiles, there's not going to be anything to shoot the joints. So this is just logic. It's just simple logic. It's not medicine. And you don't need medical school to understand this. In fact, medical school will keep you from understanding this. Medical school will train you in using drugs. New drug came out yesterday. FDA approves edoxaban for stroke prevention, another blood-thinning drug for AFib and stroke prevention. As if we need another anticoagulant, blood-thinning poison drug. Why do you think we have these? Why are there new drugs? One came out late last year, rivaroxaban. One came out earlier, Eliquis, apixaban. Now you've got dabigatran, whatever, the Pradaxa. You got all of these blood-thinning drugs because our blood is clotting, and blood clotting is a classic sign of a defensive response. Also related to low blood oxygen, also related to nutritional deficiency, related to emergency response, not related to drug deficiency, not related, there's no blood clotting issue that's a edoxaban deficiency. If you have any autoimmune issue, you have a burden on the body that needs to be removed, and the number one source of that burden is the foods that we eat. No enemy planes, that means no food, there's going to be no fighter jets, that's your immune system, and that means no missiles and no attack. No food, no attack. No plane, no pain. This is why most, if not all people, are going to notice relief from pain, inflammatory pain, autoimmune disease pain, when they fast. In fact, when many people stop eating, they feel not just relief, they feel high. They feel like on top of the world because the body can relax. It can devote resources not to processing something that has gotten into the country, into the domestic space, into the body, but on growing and on thriving. When the body is relaxed, it goes into its default mode, which is peace of mind. And even better, it goes into pleasure mode. Yes, that's right. Pleasure and peace of mind are our natural state. I know, that sounds crazy, doesn't it? It sounds crazy that pleasure and peace of mind can be our natural state because everything from the government to our legal system to the church to our medical model tells us that we're doomed, that we're condemned, and that the world is a dangerous, horrible place, and that we have to suffer. But what I'm telling you is our default state is pleasure and peace of mind. And that means if we eliminate biochemical stresses, biochemical burdens, excess, a little bit of stress is actually good, but excess, chronic, long-term, over and over, biochemical burden on the body, if we reduce it or remove it, we're going to gradually return our health, return to our healthy, normal state of being, which is healing and wellness. I promise you this. If you reduce or eliminate the burdens on the body, chiefly among food, chiefly represented by food, but also from low oxygen levels, low blood oxygen levels, also from sugar and toxicity, I guarantee you're going to notice relief. The medical model wants you to think you're doomed, that we live in this random world where things just happen. Last week there was an article that was published in the journal Science that claimed cancer is random. Perhaps you saw this. It was in all the lay press. It's in Time magazine. Cancer is random. How did researchers come to this conclusion? It was gleefully trumpeted all through the lay press. Oh, this is cancer's random. You got nothing you could do about it. You know how they came to this conclusion? Check this out. This is how the scientists came to the conclusion that cancer is random. The researchers made cells divide, and they noticed that the more the cells divided, the more likely they were to become cancerous. And from this, they deduced and announced to the press and the public that cells turn cancerous based on the amount of times they divide. That's what they test. It's the headline of this study. Headline of the study right here. It says, variation in cancer risk among tissues can be explained by number of stem cell divisions. In other words, the risk is related to how often cells divide. This is a quote here. Some tissue types give rise to human cancers millions of times more often than other tissue types. Although this has been recognized for more than a century, it's never been explained. Here we show that the risk of cancer is related, strongly correlated, they say, with the total number of divisions. These results suggests, at least they don't say it proves, they say suggest, that only a third of the variation in cancer risk is attributable to the environment. The majority is due to bad luck, random mutations. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Bad luck, random mutations. Why? Because they don't know what causes it, so they say it must be random. Unbelievable. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Got a couple lines open for you. 844-236-6010 is our number. 844-236-6010 if you have questions about health or nutrition or prescription drugs. Let us show you how easy, how simple it can be to reverse degenerative disease with a good nutritional supplement program. slow, relaxing, deep breathing, and correcting digestive issues. Before we went to break, we'll get your calls here in a second. If you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get to you right. Just want to say a couple more things about this study that came out because it got a lot of attention, and I've got a few letters on this. Cancer is random, according to scientists. Why do they say cancer is random? Because they don't associate genes with the environment. Mainstream medicine is yet to recognize that the genetics of a cell, the genes, change with the environment. They respond with the environment. An environment that's got low nutrition, a cellular environment that doesn't have a lot of nutrients around, is going to have one genetic profile. And a cellular environment that's got plenty of nutrients is going to have another genetic profile. A cellular environment that's stressful, that's got burdens, that's got lots of sugar around it, that's got lots of toxins around it, that's suffocating, doesn't have enough oxygen, is going to have a genetic profile of toxicity, a genetic profile associated with survival, and a genetic profile associated with cancer. Scientists and medical folks don't associate genes with the nutrients, the oxygen, the cortisol that contacts the cell. This is called epigenetics. Epigenetics is the idea that the environment that the cell is sitting in is what controls the genetics. Why is this important? Because we are in charge of the environment for the most part, by what we eat, by how we live our lives, by the kind of toxins or non-toxins we put into our system. By the way, this is the triangle of disease: digestion, blood sugar, and oxygen. And these are the three main points that we want to address no matter what our health challenge is. Cancer's random? Are you kidding me? Please. There's nothing random. There's nothing random in the body. Disease is not random, and health is not random, even though that's what the medical folks want us to think. Oh, it's random. You're just stuck with it. The only thing we can do is put you on our new FDA-approved blood thinning drug. Oh, toxic? What are you going to do? No problem. We'll deal with it. Side effects? That's just how it goes. All right. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side, 844-236-6010. Dave in Michigan. What's going on, my friend? What up, David? Yeah, Dave? Dave in the thumb in Michigan.
Sorry, I was on mute.
What's up, David? How you doing?
Oh, I'm great. How you doing, Ben? I love you. I love your show, you guys.
Thank you.
Just the work you're doing is so awesome. There's so much I want to say, but yesterday you said you can't get through to your family. That just brings it home to all of us. You know, we have the same trouble. So
I know.
It's like, wow, if you can't get through to your family, oh my God.
They're like, what do you know? You're just Ben.
Right. So
my mom, after many years, she finally got on probiotics, and it took her about a month and a half, and her heartburn was gone.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah. But I just got to tell your family, if they're listening, just listen to Ben. He knows what he's talking about.
All right, I'll hook you up with my mom. Thank you, I appreciate it.
And now I can't glaze over the Lyme disease deal, because Alex Jones has reported Plum Island Biochemical Weapons Lab, U.S. The tick. Lyme disease is weaponized. I just lost my train.
Is it like chemical warfare? Some kind of chemical warfare thing?
Lyme disease is weaponized syphilis. Okay.
Interesting. That's interesting.
So
when did Alex say this? Did he say this on the show?
Alex Jones has reported that for many years.
Interesting. Right? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and Dr. Peter Glidden, okay, I know you know him.
I know Dr. Glidden.
Has treated more cases of Lyme disease than any doctor on the planet.
What does he do? What does he use?
Connecticut.
Okay. What does he use?
See, Lyme disease was first
in Connecticut.
Yes, in Lyme, Connecticut.
That's right.
Because it's right across the ocean from Plum Island, where that biochemical weapons lab. Okay.
Right.
So now on to more important things.
Well, hang on. Let me ask you this: How do people get Lyme's disease in other part of the country? How do they?
Ben, it has spread over the entire country. The tick, deer ticks. I mean, that's where it comes from. It comes from the on the back of a tick, on the back of a deer.
So are they saying it's not a bacteria, that it's some kind of chemical warfare thing?
Yeah, it's chemical, but I don't know if I don't know. I'm legally blind, so I really didn't read the studies.
Okay.
But talk to Alex. He will turn you on to his research.
All right, I'm going to look into that.
Peter Glidden. And by the way, Peter Glidden, he's off the air now on GCN. You need 2 hours, my friend. You need to take his time slot at 4 p.m. Eastern till 6 p.m. Eastern, because an hour is not enough of Ben. We need 2 hours of Ben every day.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's kind of you.
I'm telling you, you have given me so much knowledge for the past since my journey started. When I first heard you on Alex Jones, and I met so many people through Alex Jones that have discovered longevity, and you guys are you blow us away.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that.
We love you. I lost 100 pounds. My wife lost 100 pounds. I could go on and on.
That's awesome, Dave. Well, can I help you today? You got a question?
Yeah, my wife had her appendix out when she was 10. She, got on Prilosec for 15 years. Her doctor, her wonderful doctor, had her on, Prilosec for 15 years. He told her she'd have to be on it the rest of her life. Well, she had, the cracked heels. I mean, I used to sand her feet every day practically.
Right.
They were so bad. And you know what? Her feet. I'm babysitting my 2-year-old grandson today. Excuse me. And my wife's feet are now as smooth as his little bottom.
No kidding. Just
my gosh.
She's off the Prilosec, right?
Off the Prilosec. You put her on protocols. Glidden's dialed her in. Doc's dialed her in. But she's got through almost everything. Now we got some questions about probiotics, digestive enzymes, and appendix.
Ask me.
Okay, how does that work? I know you're supposed to take probiotics early in the morning and late at night when your stomach acid is at its lowest. Is that right?
It doesn't really matter. Bacteria make acid. Lactobacillus makes lactic acid. So a lot of bacteria can survive in acid. It's more important that you get the bacteria. The timing, whether with meals, without meals, sometimes it makes a difference if you want to be absolutely impeccable, and every brand is going to be different, so you want to check with the brand. But for the most part, for most people anyway, just getting 100 billion units or 50 to 100 billion units at least in your body is enough. If you really want to be absolutely perfect, every brand is going to have their own recommendations based on how they make the probiotic. But for most people, that's not going to be an issue. And by the way, fermented food is also important. Now, if you're taking
without the appendix.
Yeah, even without the appendix.
How
the appendix
do you store it?
You won't store it. It won't store it. It'll just
store.
Yes, the appendix is a warehouse for bacteria.
Okay.
It's a storage depot. They used to tell you it didn't matter. There's no There's no reason for the appendix. It's a vestige. Blah blah blah.
Quack.
Today we know. There's no vestiges in the body. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a function.
Absolutely.
There's no randomness. Just because a doctor in the medical model doesn't know what it's for doesn't mean it's random.
Well, don't you know God put your appendix there for doctors to practice surgery?
Oh, is that why he did it? Okay. All right. God put the appendix in there because there's a reason for it. Gallbladder, same thing. Your uterus, your breasts, every part of your body counts. You're not a fully functional human being if you're missing parts. Now, if you're missing parts, you can still survive, obviously, and there's things you could do. But don't let anybody tell you don't need your gallbladder or any other organ in the body. The appendix, Dave, thanks for your call too, by the way, buddy. The appendix is a warehouse for bacteria. If you don't have an appendix, you are condemned to the rest of your life with digestive health issues, and that means you have to take extra care with the food you eat and with supporting digestive health, especially using the Biolumin Nightly Essence and eating fermented foods. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate your call very much. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Hang tight. We'll get to your calls when we come back from our break. For you, Bud in Texas, what's going on? Welcome to the bright side. Hello, Bud. Bud.
Yes, that's me. Hello. How are you? Good.
That's you. How you doing? What's going on? How you doing?
Well, just real quick. I've done the BTT and the Osteo FX and all that, and some of the other things, and I've gotten a lot better. But I just can't seem to get these sort of what I think is a pre-diabetic kind of symptoms of my feet being in pain.
Okay.
The Osteo really helps with my joints. I used to be in construction, and I've fallen off a couple of buildings, so I'm kind of a Osteo problem. But anyway. But my feet were at one point just really hurting. I couldn't even stand to lay on my back and have the sheets on top of my toes, because it was irritating.
Did it feel like nerve pain, or did it feel like toe? Because was it toe pain or was it nerve pain? Describe the pain a little bit.
It could be throbbing.
Was it the big toe? Did you notice it was in your big toe?
It was. It changed too. But yeah, my big toe right now is hurting. But I seem to develop these sort of. It feels like I've taped quarters to the balls of my feet. I have this sort
when you step, kind of like you feel pain in the bottom. Okay, I know what you're talking
about. It feels like I put a quarter in my shoe.
How old are you, Dave? How old are you, bud?
57.
And how much do you weigh?
230.
How tall are you?
6'1" plus.
Is it 230? Is it 6'1", 230 like a football player, or 6'1", 230 like a 57-year-old
guy? I've got a hefty builder, but I have lost about 40 some odd pounds.
Oh, good. How'd you lose it? How'd you lose the weight?
Doing everything you say. Eat less, eat right, take the supplements.
Nice.
I can eat a lot less by just doing the afternoon with my sipping on my cocktail.
That's awesome. How long did it take you to lose the weight?
About a year.
Dave, that's awesome. You lost 50. Did you say 50 or 40?
I'm sorry.
How much did you lose?
Well, at my highest, I was about 280, and that was about 2 years ago.
And so you lost 70 pounds?
Well, yeah, and also not drinking. I've never been a.
But hang on, let me digest this, bud. You lost 70 pounds in a year?
Yeah, that's a year and a half.
That is amazing. Don't underestimate the importance of that. People are happy if they lose 10 pounds in a year, 20 pounds in a year. If you lost 70 pounds, that's amazing. Now, that tells me a couple of things. First of all, it tells me that you're doing a great job. That's number one, what that tells me. Number two, it tells me that you probably have some blood sugar issues going on, especially at the age of 57. So if you're still not noticing, if you seem to have plateaued or you're not getting the results that you want, even though it sounds like you're doing great, but if you're not getting completely the results that you want, let's get you started on a couple of programs here. Let's get a couple of give you a couple of tips here. First of all, great with the food. You're appreciating the power of eating less food. Let's get you into eating a little bit different kinds of food. Focus more on protein and good fat, and try to minimize the amounts of refined flours and carbohydrates that you use. And carbohydrates should just come from vegetables. Have you heard of something called the ketogenic diet? You ever hear that term? The ketogenic?
Sort of, yeah.
The ketogenic diet is a high-fat, they call it moderate protein, but I say high-protein diet. I like using that term better than the paleo diet. Paleo is kind of a fad these days.
Okay,
I don't even like using that term because it's become such a cliche and such a fad. I prefer more to talk about the ketogenic diet, which is a high-protein, or they say moderate, I say high-protein diet and high-fat diet. But the key is to restrict your intake of anything that's going to spike your blood sugar. Now, the important thing is, with this ketogenic diet, you got to do some weight-bearing exercise. You want to combine the ketogenic diet with weightlifting or some kind of resistance training. Now, you don't have to go to the gym to do it either. If you don't want to, put on your sweats and drive all the way to the gym and do all the things you got to do to get to get a good workout at the gym, you could do it all at home. You could get yourself 5 or 10 pound dumbbells and do super slow repetitions with just 5 or 10 pound dumbbells. You can work your upper body by doing curls. You could do shoulder presses. You could do lunges to get your lower body done. The key is that you want to do your movements very, very slowly. And then when you're done with your workout, which should only take 5 or 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes a day is all you need to do it right, you want to make sure that you're using protein and good fat. Make yourself a smoothie after that. The combination of resistance training with protein maximizes the benefits that you get from the protein and the good fats. You might want to throw in some creatine in there as well, and that'll give you even more benefits from the workout, from the resistance training and the protein combination.
Okay.
Then, of course, you want to stay on the micronutrients, especially essential fatty acids, the ultimate EFAs. They're key.
I've got that bottle.
How many are you taking? How many of those EFAs are you taking? No, my friend. You weigh 210 pounds. You want 6 a day minimum. Sure. Ideally 12. Yeah, ideally 12 a day. And in fact, you can go by cravings. Now, see if you notice fat. If you're craving fatty foods, that's a sign that you need more of those EFAs, more of those ultimate EFAs. The ultimate EFAs are also, they're important for a lot of things, but they're also going to help you with bodybuilding and with building muscle. That's what you're looking to do, is build muscle, to replace the amount of body fat that you have, replace your body fat with muscle tissue, lean muscle mass, as they call it. So it's this combination of upping your protein and your coconut oil or good fat and essential fatty acids with the resistance training. The second thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're using micronutrients that help you stabilize blood sugar. The BTT is king for the B vitamins, which are your most important blood sugar stabilizing nutrients. Magnesium is also helpful. You'll get that in the Beyond OsteoFX. The amino acid taurine and the amino acid arginine are both very helpful, and arginine is particularly good for helping with muscle building too. Arginine is the bodybuilding amino acid. It's got lots of nitrogen in there, and nitrogen is very important for muscles. So making sure you're using and that arginine will also help you with your blood sugar. So make sure you're using about 1 gram or 2 of arginine every day. You can get arginine in a powder. It tastes awful, so you might want to do capsules or tablets. I use the powder in my smoothie, but it does taste really bad. And then glutamine powder also is very important for a couple of reasons. Number one, glutamine will help you with your sugar cravings, assuming you have sugar cravings, and most people do. So glutamine will help you with that. Put a teaspoon in water, or half a teaspoon in water, and drink it down twice a day. Half teaspoonful in the morning, half teaspoonful at night. And glutamine is also, like arginine, very important for muscle building. Glutamine's also got detoxification benefits. It's good for your brain. It's good for your liver. Got lots of upside to using glutamine. But for your condition, glutamine will help you build muscle and will help you wean yourself off of refined carbohydrates. That's the most important thing that you could do. If you could do intermittent fasting, 1 day a week or 1 day every couple of weeks, where you don't eat at all, that will help you also build muscle and will also resensitize your insulin. And then, if you want, you can do the Suero V. I love the Suero V for my fast. You do half a bottle. It's called Suero V. SUERO. VIV, Suero V. You can get it on my website. It's a Jordan Rubin product. It's got potassium and sodium in just the right balance, and it's got potassium and sodium and other minerals too in a very absorbable format. It's fermented whey is what it is. Tastes great, and it really, really is energizing for folks who are trying to do a fast. Okay. Make sure you're blending your nutrients as well as best as you can in smoothies. Yeah. And if you're not doing whey protein, it's a good idea to do some whey protein.
Yeah, I do One World Whey when I have it. So
try to do whey protein. If you can't afford the One World Whey, and there were some problems earlier in last year, or maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember when that was, either last year or the year before, but with One World Whey. But in any case, if you can't afford the One World Whey, find yourself a whey protein that you can afford. Personally, I like one called Natural Factors. It tastes good. It comes from Canada, and it's made with Canadian cattle, and they don't use antibiotics or hormones. The Natural Factors folks don't use antibiotics or hormones. Natural Factors. You can also use the Slender FX from Youngevity if you're doing the Youngevity products. Lots you could do. Yeah, go ahead.
So you think these things in the balls of my feet that feels like that there's something inside there is going to go?
Sounds like inflammation. I'm not sure if it's gout. It could be gout or it could be inflammation. It doesn't really matter exactly what it is, but if you stabilize your blood sugar, you correct any digestive issues, and that's also important. I didn't tell you about that, but correcting digestive problems is a very important step to take when you have inflammatory problems. It sounds like you have. Okay. That means look for problems with the digestive system: diarrhea, constipation, bloating, gas, loose stools, heartburn, nausea, feeling of fullness, queasiness, you know the drill. Mm-hmm. Look for those symptoms, link those symptoms to problems, to specific foods, and then eliminate those foods, and then use the nutrients for the digestive system, chief among which are the Biolumin Nightly Essence and fermented foods. Get a book called The Art of Fermentation. It's really easy to read, and it's got lots of great recipes. Sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, kimchi, fermented beets. These are all wonderful ways to get bacteria in your gut. And then use the Fucoidin Z, 3 capsules in the morning, 3 capsules at night. That'll do multiple things for you. But number one, it will help thin your blood a little bit. It'll improve your circulation. And number two, it has blood sugar stabilizing properties. And number three, the Fucoidin Z from Youngevity, you get that off my website, brightsideben.com, is also very important for helping you repair the digestive lining. This is really where it all goes wrong, folks.
The Coidin Z, spell that please, I'm sorry.
F as in Frank, U, C as in cat, O, I as in igloo, D as in David, A as in apple, N as in Nancy, and then the letter Z. 3 capsules in the morning.
Coidin Z, okay.
Fucoidin Z. Thanks so much for your call, bud. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
That's all the time we have for today. That Fucoidin Z is amazing for helping patch up the digestive lining for leaky gut syndrome. All right, that's all the time we have for today. We'll continue talking about nitrogen and nitrates on our next Brightside episode. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a wonderful, beautiful, spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.